Welcome back to Growth Without Referrals, the podcast where consulting and professional services leaders talk honestly about how they're actually generating new business today beyond word of mouth. And I'm your host, Mark Ferguson. Today, I'm joined by Nina Mladenovski and Aurelije Zovko, also known as AZ, founder of Zenia Graph. And did I pronounce your names correctly?
You did a very good job. It's Nina Mladenovski. It's very, even for myself, complicated. And then it's Aurelije Zovko, but even we call him AZ.
Awesome.
I'm A to Z.
A to Z, everything. And I also want to throw in its father-daughter, which is amazing. I love stories like this. But Zenia Graph is an AI and data consulting firm focused on helping organizations use knowledge graphs, machine learning, and large language models to improve data automation, compliance, and decision-making, particularly in regulated industries like finance and insurance. What I really liked about their story is that they're not just building a consulting firm, but a long-term innovation company with both services and product development. Nina and AZ, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Awesome. So I'd like to start with your journey. What led each of you into this work and what led to founding Zenia Graph?
So I am a little bit earlier on in my career. I can start the conversation. I have a background in business and management. I have my MBA in that. And I previously worked for MongoDB before jumping into Zenia Graph. So very early on in my professional career. And I handle more of the sales, marketing, and HR for Zenia Graph, where AZ is our tech lead. We started this April, beginning of May will be 3 years for Zenia Graph. So, I don't think I would have gotten the experiences that I have at any other role. The amount of different hats I've had to wear and things I've had to learn, sometimes simultaneously, it's been very rewarding. And just being in the AI tech industry itself, you're always handling new ways of doing things, innovative ideas and ways to implement AI into different businesses. So being at the forefront of what's possible has been really rewarding for me being so early on in my career. So it's definitely given me a different perspective that I don't think if I had gone the traditional route would have really led to my growth so quickly. So that is my background.
So Mark, for myself, I'm start hiding well over 30 years in IT industry, and mostly is financials and insurance. And I build and use AI around 30 plus years. I build a lot of kind of complex AI system for the banks and insurance companies. And the main motivation that AI, always believe AI even 30 years ago. And I remember ChatGPT getting out and I'm thinking, oh my God, this will change pretty much everything. And do I want to work for big organization or to start a startup and really be agile and bring all my experience and use new technologies, right? So that was the main technical part and motivation to start the Zenia Graph. And of course, having Nina part of the company was really another goal to work together, have family business and grow together.
Thank you, AZ, and thank you, Nina. Great story. And when I talked to you both previously, we talked about knowledge graphs. And for the people listening who are not familiar with knowledge graphs, can you explain what Zenia Graph does and what makes your approach different with that?
Absolutely. I think as a non-technical person myself, it was a process to really simplify what a knowledge graph does. And I think that is Zenia Graph's biggest differentiator. The AI bubble right now, it's booming. There's so many businesses, so many vendors that are promising a lot of things with AI, but a combination of AI with knowledge graphs really reduces errors and makes any accelerator product or software that we're building that much more powerful. And what a knowledge graph is, the simplest terms, it gives context to data. So it's semantic data. And easy way that I like to give an example is if I said the word bat, if you're a baseball fan, you're going to think of a baseball bat. If you're an animal lover, you're going to think of, the animal bat. So there's a lot of words like that. Jaguar, even. There's a car Jaguar, and it could mean
Yeah.
many different things to different people. So what it does is knowledge graphs contextualize that data. And it's not just a boring old Excel sheet where you're looking at one line of data and you don't know how it even connects across platforms. When you're working in business, you have a lot of platforms that your business has to work with and a lot of different departments. So how to bridge that gap between that knowledge and data is what a knowledge graph does. Now, that is my more business way. I'm sure AZ can give a more technical analysis of it.
Yeah, just on very high technology, it's a database. It is a semantic database, meaning you describe concepts semantically. And then when you talk about something, right, it's the same meaning. And you have what they call ontologies, meaning way to describe this. You can think about database schema. So you describe this concept, and the value of that technology is that you can easily create concept and connect concept together, right? Like I know Nina, I know Mark, we on podcast and we had podcast that date, right? It's very flexible schema to describe the concept, entities in real life. And that's that value bringing and some good business example. I was in the biggest insurance company and I went talk to the insurance or finance part of the company and they talk about something and I go back to the claims and they are saying same words, completely different meaning, right? So you need to kind of really saying, okay, if you say claim, this is the claim and this is how you describe claim. If you say claim in finance, it should be the same things, right? So that's that semantic bridge you bring on top of your data. That means when you talk about your data, it's same meaning across your organization and maybe across industry too.
Okay. Thank you for that explanation. And you're combining consulting with product development, which is not easy. What made you choose that path?
So on my end, I think it's one shoe does not fit all. So there's a lot of companies that want end-to-end production ready, outcomes, and they have a lot of different pain points. So having that consultancy part of our business, it really allows us to be agile when speaking to a lot of different clients that have different pain points. We don't want to have one software that might not work for another client that we're going to speak to potentially in the future. So it gives us that ability to have a lot of the production work and back-end APIs already done. So a lot of it is reusable, but when we speak to our clients and have a full understanding of what their needs are, we can really customize the offerings that we have to best fit their business and provide the most business value. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to automate, simplify, and use AI in a way that really provides business value to our clients.
Yeah, just to add on technology part of that is reuse and building product. It's a production ready code, right? So we take these patterns and we go to talk to business and we do POC and we say, this is working, this is not going to work, this is plus and minuses, right? But we have that deep product development, production ready code where we can kind of explain and reuse when we have a client's engagement.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And one thing I appreciated from our earlier conversation was your transparency around growth. Many firms rely heavily on referrals and professional networks. And you mentioned that's been true for you as well. How has most of your business come in so far?
So with AZ having 30 plus years in the industry, his professional network definitely adds a lot of value to the potential client pool that we have. And there are a lot of people in higher positions, C-suite level roles or VPs. So they have that power to make decisions for their organization, which definitely adds a lot of value when we're looking to expand. But we've also, tried different ways of having clients, finding clients. So we attend conferences, local, and this year we're doing a few international ones as well for the first time. So we're excited to see how that works. We've also done podcasts. This is another way we like to speak with different individuals. The questions are always a little different. We're able to showcase what we offer. and just have more brand recognition as well. We're also trying to, we have our X account. I still call it Twitter, but our X account we have. We also do LinkedIn. So we try to post on there, just educational to, business updates as well. So we like to have a mix of both, because educating our clients as well, what can be done with the technology, is very important. And then we also do blogs and articles. So a couple of our partners also host, such as GraphWise and MetaFactory. They have our blogs on their website. So again, another place where our name, our logo can be seen, so that we have more brand recognition. So being 3 years in, we're at that stage where we're trying to see what works, trying to see what doesn't work. And for a lot of the sales cycles and campaigns we've tried, we've noticed that, cold emailing, outreach by phone has not proven as effective as it might have 15, 20 years ago. So now the way business is done is definitely like, I've even been asked, why don't you have an Instagram? I'm an Instagram for an IT consulting company. Interesting. So I think a lot of people are more social media focused these days for a lot of different businesses. So it's trying to figure out what works in the landscape that's being constantly changed and updated. So we're seeing what works.
And to add, we have a lot of partnership too, a lot of companies doing AI, and we say, hey, what you guys doing, what we are doing, lesson learned, right? And then we together kind of work on potential clients and presentations. And so we are building our partnership network too, on top of what Nina said.
Okay. And thank you. And I think I'm going to play back what I'm hearing is referrals are important, right? Because you have a good reputation and those referrals will bring business in. But yet, based upon the stage you are in the company, you've also tried other things, right? You've tried LinkedIn, you've tried blogs, you've tried other types of things, right? And if you were advising another startup consulting firm today, what would you tell them about how to generate new business?
Definitely say that they need to have their ICP mapped out. So it's really important to know who you're going after and your messaging. So if you have a great product and you're not presenting it in a strategic way, you can be left in the weeds and not get any traction. So I think that's very important for businesses starting to have a good business plan moving forward. You can even have a product that's still in the developmental stages or very early on. And if you show a business what the value is and present it in a way that makes them need what you're building, what you're offering, it's going to really set you apart from a lot of other companies. I mean, I get weekly 5 to 10 emails from, smaller companies, startups, promising me that they can give me qualified leads, put me in front of these companies and that I can get more sales. They're all promising very similar deliverables, but then where's the value? What differentiates you from the 10 emails I get a week? So I think that's a very important something that I've also had trial and errors with that too. What messaging works, who we're reaching out to. And when you pivot a little bit, you can see what actually works. Yeah.
And then on the technical side of things, what I think is unique with Zenia, we build something we call accelerators. So we'll take, one business problem and we'll build, I'll say 80% of that solution. And then when I go to the conferences, I present new technology with the real business problems and solution. And so value to engage with Zenia is that code is free for you, right? We will give you all that technology, POC, and code ready, and we'll just adjust it, whatever is your particular needs. If there is any need, so you can reuse it, right? So that's how we say we bring value, not just as consulting starting from scratch, that we have these accelerators could be reused.
Okay. And Nina and AZ, you work in areas where trust is critical. Finance, insurance, compliance, privacy. How do you build credibility with organizations that are very risk sensitive?
I mean, I would say that with AZ's expertise leading enterprise level production for many companies, we understand that your private information, especially on claims or if it's healthcare, your private data is very important. And we've seen how dangerous it can be when a company has that private information leaked. So my husband even had his social security number leaked, and he had to go through an entire process to get that handled. So it's real. The dangers are more real now, more than ever, with the technology advancements. So I think just from inception all the way to maintenance, we make sure at every step of the way we're working with our clients. If we need to, we can integrate into their internal systems so nothing ever leaves outside. We use whatever they need to accomplish the best product. So privacy is one of our biggest concerns, and we definitely want to make sure that the clients we work with understand that we're there to help them, not give them more problems.
And on the technology side, I personally build machine learning models for trading platforms for big finance and companies, right? So for me, it's a very normal software development life cycle, which you need to apply, especially when you build machine learning models and deploying in production. You follow that process, and that process is very detailed and going to all the risks and testing and model drift and how you take care of all of that and really how to get trust of the traders. For example, I remember that getting trust of the traders, that they can trust that model if saying, hey, buy something or sell, right? It's very tough to kind of get buy-in from the business users. So there is whole that process, software the development lifecycle process we have to build and deploy machine learning applications to production.
Okay, thank you. And you mentioned something earlier that really stood out. Building a multi-generational company. What is your long-term vision for Zenia Graph?
We want to grow. We want to make more profit. If another startup or small business says something different, I'd be very shocked. So obviously it's to grow, but it's generational. Like AZ mentioned, he's my dad, and we want to make something that's not just for the next couple of years, something that my children can be proud of, my children's children can be proud of. We work with AI, we work with technology, but there's a lot of ethical applications that can be brought into AI. There's a lot of things that we might not even know what AI is capable of nowadays that in a couple of years will be possible. Like if you told me when I was 15 that we're going to have self-driving cars and there's going to be a robotic arm that can perform surgery on me, I would think we're talking about a sci-fi novel. So now that so many things are possible with this technology, I think doing it in the right manner, being ethically, aware of what these things can accomplish, it's a really interesting space to be in. So I think just experimenting with what can be done is exciting to me. And yeah, to grow, maybe expand into different regions as well. So the US and Europe is where we typically are right now with our clients. So potentially expanding into new industries and new geographical locations is also something we're interested in.
And for that, it's very simple. Right? My love passion for AI was almost 40 plus years just to kind of pass it there and involve them. Both my daughters involved in AI, and I think is a future. I believe that very long time ago. So it's really nice to kind of shape them for the future because jobs and how we do normal life, everything else will change very fast, very soon. So AI is probably the key of all of that change. So just involving them in that space was really main motivation. And of course, hopefully very soon I'll be retiring and they can take over and grow.
Okay, I love it. Nina, AZ, this has been a great conversation. And if people want to learn more about Zenia Graph or connect with you, where should they go?
Yeah. So like I mentioned, we have our X profile and LinkedIn profile, even a YouTube channel. All of them can be found under Zenia Graph, or you can also look at our website, which we have a contact button there, request for a demo where you can reach out to us directly, and that is Zenia Graph.
And I will post your contact information and website information below the podcast for our listeners. And thank you for joining us today on Growth Without Referrals.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.